Good
All
evening,
right,
ladies
good
and
afternoon, everybody. To those joining us in Liberia, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. I am your co-host, Augustine Sharif, and I'm here with the host himself, Dr. Emmanuel George. Mr. George, I'm happy to be back on the show. How are you doing, boss?
I'm doing very fine, but Sheik has only 30 minutes to be with us, so we can have all these wonderful conversation. Perhaps after he's gone, the last 30 minutes, you and myself can look at your visit in Liberia and see how
Uh,
much you look good. You look very good. You look very, very good. You look very. You are the people who enjoy Liberia. let's but let's keep that for the last 30 minutes of the show, so that we can have Sheik on and have a conversation with him.
I'm super excited. So yeah, let's bring our guest on. And I mean, go ahead and introduce the guest, and let's bring him in so we can definitely get the show on the road.
Good evening, friends on Facebook, YouTube, and Freedom FM 87.1 in Liberia, 9 in Liberia. My name is Emmanuel George. My co-host is Mr. Augustine Sharif, and this is Liberia Shall Rise. This could be you. So welcome to this program. This program brings a new spin to the Liberian discourse. On this platform, we firmly believe that Liberia has all the potential to be a great nation if all of us just do our part. This is the reason why we do not spend countless hours discussing what is or what is wrong, but what is and what will be. Therefore, tonight we continue on the series This Could Be You. We are aware of the gloomy realities of our nation. We are aware about the end of the impasse in the national legislature, and we send our congratulations to Speaker Richard Nangwe-Kun on the SNSA as the Speaker of the Republic of Liberia. We are concerned of the exposure of the fake doctors in Liberia, something that have been scares to many of us. Some of us even visited some of those doctors because we thought that they were in legal practice. We are also aware of the congressional bill that is about to add 5% tax to remittances to Africa and other countries in the world. We are often confronted with hundreds of Facebook live videos that seems to serve the sole purpose to beat one of our own to stupor. In most of our communities, there appears to be an absence of role models. Have you ever thought about a Liberia that is living up to its potential? A Liberia that is the beacon of hope of the peoples of West Africa? A Liberia where parents are not confronted by the everyday reality of what they would get, where they would get the money to pay the child school fees? Despite the unfolding gloomy news, there are hundreds of Liberians that are beating the odds. Theirs is a story of success that we believe is necessary to share on this platform. From local government to the classroom, people of Liberian origins are making meaningful impact. They are influential in their areas of specialty. We are certain that as you listen to these guests on this show, you too will be motivated as we are after this interview. So tonight, I have another wonderful guest joining me. He is the ambassador at large for special duties and special presidential envoy for the Republic of Liberia. Please join me as I welcome my guest this evening, His Excellency Sheikh Al-Mustafa Kouyateh. Sheikh, you are welcome. How are you today, my brother?
I'm doing very well. Firstly, let me say thanks so much for this invitation. And my regard to our listeners and viewers on all social media. I know that we are already on Facebook and YouTube, and I know there are uh, others media institutions that are also monitoring us. But let me say to you, I'm very grateful to be your guest today. It has been a bit while. We've been trying to arrange this one, and today finally I'm here with you.
Yeah, Sheikh, first of all, I'm humbled to have you on the show this evening. That's the first thing. The second one, I was also humbled that you reached out to me a couple of years ago, introducing yourself to me, even though you are much bigger than I am. So I'm humbled to have you after 2 years. Let me let the audience know that Sheikh and I have been on this journey for 2 years, and finally we've been able to track him down and get him on this program. Now he has only 30 minutes with us, so we want to go straight into this conversation. Now, did you grow up in Liberia, Sheikh?
I actually grew up in Liberia. I was born in Sakopie, Nimba County,
Oh,
and I grew up in Monrovia. And I graduated from Monrovia College, industrial school, on Camp Johnson Road in 1998, 99. And I spent almost all of my life in this country. I have traveled so many countries in the world that includes European countries. But the first country I ever went to actually is the UK. I went to the UK in the early 90s Then from there, I went to other part of Europe, and I've been in many places in Africa. And I'm grateful that through the mentorship of my very good friend and brother from Kenya, Professor Lumumba, I able to discover my potential in advocacy.
That is great. I, I like your origin, Encyclopedia to Monrovia, MC. So the producer of this show, Dr. Positive, actually graduated from MC. I think almost around that time too. He went to Monrovia College. So it's good to have you from what? Is it the Monkey Kingdom or how you call yourself there?
Monkey's Kingdom.
Monkey's Kingdom. It's good to have you from that. But
Loyal we shall ever be.
How was it? Okay. How was your high school days? How were you like when you were in high school? Were you in politics? In
Great.
business?
You know, it was a great experience. At the time we were in high school in the 90s, we had many of our colleagues at the time who were involved with armed struggle. Some of them were ex-fighters, and some of them were skilled, were armed. So they were with us there in school, but we were able to manage ourselves, not to get involved with the armed conflict, and we were able to manage ourselves, to maintain a cordial relationship among ourselves as young people at the time. And I was also involved with student politics. I took part in the election, the sport association election, and I won that in that year. And there was some controversial issue, and later on, there was re-election. Then we had the student council government. I served as the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the student council government. At the same time, I served as a senior senator, but then I was in 11th grade. So it was a great experience. Trust me. We were not being mentioned by religion, by our religious identity, nor were we mentioned or identified on campus based on ethnicity. We were seeing ourselves as one people, young people, so curious at the time to ensure that we have better Liberia. Being all of those that I sat in class with, they always remind me of something. I always used to refer to them that this country belongs to us all. And we can be deported in any other country but not Liberia. And I still have that belief.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, you get home. My co-host, Mr. Sharif, just came out for Liberia. He looking so handsome. So he had a wonderful time there. Now you graduated from high school in 1998. But by 2000, you have started a business. You started the waste management company. What was the name of the company? What was your experience? I mean, if you graduated in 1998, it means that just 2 years or 3 years after college, you have started a business on your own. What's your experience of starting a waste management company in Liberia?
What led to having a waste management? After we graduated from high school, we still have some young people who have some challenges in going to school. And at the time we graduated at age 19 to 20, we have people who were at age 21. They were 6th grade students because they were ex-combatants. So I organized the waste management company called Farafina Managed Logistics. So that company, when I organized it, actually I never had money, to be honest, to register it. So I used to go to I was living around Congo Town. So we go to each household and register people. So each household were paying like $50. So I was able to, to gather like 100 homes registered with us. So at least every Saturday we were paid. So I started one wheelbarrow. I was doing the collection myself earlier. Then I began to recruit.
Interrupt you. Is it 100 Liberian, $50 Liberian or 50 US?
Yeah, $50 Liberian, yeah. So Then I began to recruit young people. So because we began to have 100 household and 200, the number began to increase. So every time it increased, I was able to recruit ex-fighters, encourage them not to be in ghetto, to encourage them that, when you go to school, you are educated, you can become an independent person. And so luckily for us, most of them listen to us, because I always say us, because it is not just me. There were others who were involved. And we succeeded with that. And so it expanded. Then after a while, another conflict came, they called World War II. When the World War II came about, I actually escaped Liberia. And I went to Burkina Faso, and I have some good friends there too, because I'm a bilingual. I speak English and French. So when I went to Burkina Faso, and then the borders were closed. So I talked to a business person that my country has a silver crisis and there's no food. So I encouraging him that if he invests in taking cattle, like cow to Liberia at this time, we can make some money. So he will say, okay, can we try? I said, yes. They say, but I'm not going to Liberia. Can you go over here? I said, no problem. So we chartered a cargo. We had like 44 cows that were put on the cargo from Bobo Dioulasso. Bobo Dioulasso, we flew to Springfield at the time. Then when we arrived at the media cube, I was a young man at the time, so ambitious. And they asked, then my asked, what you brought this? I said, we cannot continue to see our people eating dogs or dead animals when we have the means of bringing these things in. So when I got to Liberia with those cows, I was a cow factory almost every day. We used to slaughter on Saturday and Wednesday. So the meat at the time was sold.
Sorry for interrupting you. Your story is so interesting. Yeah. Let me take the sweet part of it. You flew cattle from Burkina Faso to Monrovia.
Yes. But that's because there was no way for cars to come through. So we had to do that.
You were not frozen. You were live cattle on the plane.
I tell you, I have never done anything more risky than that in my entire life. But it was something that I had so much confidence in that this must happen. So when we got to Liberia, but then the meat price was probably $300 per kilo. So I told my partner we can still sell it with $300, and instead of selling the way higher rate like $600, and how others were selling it because there was no meat. And we actually sold it for $300. We brought the price down, even though there was a scarcity of meat on the market. And the 44, among the two died on the flight while we were coming because of the heat. And the 42 that we took there, we were slaughtered. And before the roads are open from Guinea to come to Liberia, other places, we have actually served our people. And the mission was not just about making profit. I've always been concerned. Solution, I've always been seeking for solution. And that's how we succeeded with that. Then the next business was the water business. But then we used to have the big bag. People tried the big bag, So I went to Ghana. When I went to Ghana, I saw that people had a Chinese machine called Koyo machine. So then we used to have this sack water bag. So that, and then I talked to another business person, and I convinced the person that at least I had the chance of convincing people to do business. So the person agreed. So we had a partnership. We got two of the machines in Ghana, from Ghana to brought to Liberia. Then we registered a company called Africa Development Investment Company, ADICO. We had our office at Douala, MRC building. Then the water, we get the water label called Peace Water with a football on it. Because at the time, in 2003, 2004, the focus of Liberia, what actually unite us as citizens at the time, was football. So we can have a differences, we can call ourselves from different political parties. I mean, no, not political parties at that time, different warring faction group, but there's one thing that united us, that was football. So I decided that we should have a football as a label, and Peace Water was something that I actually used as a name for that. And we succeeded. Today, when we started that, Aqualife, that is one of the most known company, they were able to learn from me. Aqualife and other companies, they used to come to my office at Douala and Iceland, and I explained to them, how to make market. And I started with just one car. I had one Jeep. I used to myself take the water, and I have someone with me. We moved from shop to shop to supply people, and until the business became known and many people got involved into it, and I left that also. Then I got into logistics.
When we see you, looking so good and shining, dressed so well, doing so many great things, we don't know how it started. And your story is motivating me now. I mean, you graduated from high school in 1998 at the age of 19. By 2002, you in risky business, starting with waste management, getting $50 for a house, doing it yourself. No one will know that you told wheelbarrow in Monrovia if you have not told us the story as looking at you. And how you have elevated yourself to this level. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, just flying a cow. I've heard about that before, but you the one giving me the real story of flying cow from Burkina Faso to Monrovia.
I think I'm the first person that did this in Liberia. I think I'm the first person that ever did this in Liberia. I've never heard about it happening here. Then we had the NGO had challenges with logistics. So that I also came up with an idea that let's see how, I never hack up myself. So when I see someone will pick up, I'll run to the person and get the person number and say to them I have contract. So whenever we need you or call you, then they rent your vehicles. So pick up Jeeps, trucks. I was doing that. I never had none for myself. Then I went to the NGOs with the communication and say I can provide logistic services. So when they give me the contract, I'll go to you. I say, they're taking your car for $100 per day, but I need 5%. But we have to increase it to 10% because I'm going to pay tax. So they would do it 10%. So $100, they would take $90 and give me $10. So from there to I began that business and actually got some resource to buy cars myself. I began to do used car business and also got a few old used cars to also rent it out to people. So to be honest with you, I came from a very humble background. My father was a truck driver, my mother a cocoa seller, and who later emerged to national politics. She became the first vice chairperson of the National International Council. She was elected during Madam Salutam, and she was the one that received President Bush when he came here. And even Kofi Annan, when he also came to Liberia, she was the one that actually received him. So I actually came from a family. I'm the very first person in my family that is active in politics, that got active in politics. So I didn't say that because my father is a truck driver, I would choose to be a truck driver. I didn't say because my mother was a cocoa seller, I'm going to be a cocoa seller. I had an agenda. And the agenda is I want to live a life so that I can be remembered for what I stand for. My father being a truck driver does not make him a truck driver. Or my father being a medical doctor does not make him a medical doctor. My desire to excel will lead me to excellence. So this is how, in short, that I have some challenges. And I have some challenges from childhood up to present. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that at least I have an experience that I can share with my children.
Yeah. So now, within the process in 2002, you had a greater vision. You started the Youth Against Drugs and Arms project in Liberia. Now, from hindsight, I can say and say, wow, that's a lot of imagination you have, especially looking at the drug crisis in Liberia currently. What led you to that, and how successful was that adventure?
It was actually successful. Imagine my uncle, the late Alhaji G.V. Cromine, was also head of one of the warring factions. And my senior brother was also Edicant to him. But I sat down and asked myself, how do we expect to have a Liberia where we'll be dignified, a Liberia will be respected, when now the future, the young people are all becoming drugs addicts? So as a young man who had never had a means, I organized an organization called YADA, Youth Against Drugs and Arms, and I was able to convince some of those colleagues that used to work with me with garbage management. Most of them were ex-combatants, and they began to listen to me, and they understood that the vision was something clear and was something that could give them a better future. And we were able to convince most of them to disarm, and we were able to convince most of them to go back to school. So while we were doing YADA was supported by the Waste Management Organization. So while we're on that program, I never gotten grant before in my entire life. Like I've never gotten scholarship before in my entire life. I don't think I'm lucky with free things. I've never gotten anything free before in life. So everything I have earned in my life, I have actually worked for them. So with that, we managed to convince a lot of young people, and then we succeeded. We succeeded by having most of our young people in schools. We succeeded by discouraging most of our young people to leave drugs and arms. And we are grateful. Some of them today have become professional. Like one of them, I don't want to call his name. He was during the past government. He was an assistant minister. So he said to me, Sheikh, do you remember me? I said, yes, of course. He said, thank you for what you did for me. And so what I have been involved with, for every time I do business, when I make profit, in Islam, we call something called zakat, called alms. So I don't actually give to one person. We all use those organizations to support young people in various schools. Some we sponsor them in local schools in Liberia, and some people have scholarships, or some have some opportunity to travel out. They come to my office, we give them support. And that is why that led us to establishing the Sheikh Kouyateh Foundation, because I've always been giving support to people, like that. But most of the time when we get support, we make no publicity. We have been sponsoring students at the University of Liberia from 2001 up to present, more than 200 students, but we have no record as yet. We want to publish this person's name that got benefited from us. No. We also supported people in other private universities, like the AMU, even Cottington and UMU. We don't mention their names. We have over 25 students that have gotten scholarship from us to go abroad. And most of the scholarships were not 100% of funded scholarships. Some were 75%. So most often, we purchase the tickets on our own and send them out to our further studies. So our concern has been creating the Liberia that we deserve. You cannot create a Liberia that you deserve when you don't create opportunity for people. So I believe that I'm on this planet for a mission. The mission is to whatever I have, I must share with everyone. That is why when I was appointed by His Excellency President Joseph Yuma Boaka as Ambassador Large for Special Duties and Special Presidential Envoy, I said to him, Your Excellency, thanks so much for the appointment. But I don't see this as an appointment, as a position, nor do I see it as a job. I see this appointment as a responsibility as a Liberian to serve my country. And I'm so grateful. His Excellency accepted my request that I do not want to be on salary, not receive any financial remuneration. And he accepted that. And based on that today, all of my work I have done for this country for the past 1 year, I've gone on missions to Angola, I've gone to Guinea, I've gone to so many countries, and all of those travels were sponsored by myself. Because I always say to myself that my country has done a lot for me. I'm not rich, but there's something that I always look forward to. I look forward to be remembered for working enough for my West. We had a president in Burkina Faso called Thomas Sankara. He's one of those mentors in my life. Thomas Sankara, throughout his life, he had 2 W that he used as a walking stick, and there were 2 W he used to avoid troubles. One of the 2 W that he used as walking sticks, one was he avoided women, 2, he avoided wealth. And the second 2 W he used as a walking stick, 1, he was focused on being wealthy instead of being wealthy, and 3, the 4th one was a man of his word. So we might not be, I may not be able to be as he is, as himself, or as he lived, but I want to try my all best to do my best, at least to live a life that at least the next generation will remember me for what I stand for. And I always say to people, Jesus Christ of Nazareth was never recognized in Nazareth. He was called a thief. He was called an impostor. He was called false prophet. He was called all names. So today, because he believed in the message he had, he believed in his gospel, he never relented. He never relinquished his ambition to share the good words of God. What happened? Today we have over billions of people globally who call Jesus Christ the Lord and Savior. And we have similar issue with Islam as a Muslim. And the Prophet Muhammad SAW was uneducated, and he was an orphan. And people call him an impostor, they call him thief, they call him liar. But he remained committed to his message. And today we have billions of people who call themselves Muslim today who follows him. So in life, be accused as a thief, be accused as a liar, be accused as a murderer, be accused anyway negatively, but do not adopt the characterization of the accuser.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Sheikh. That was very, very explosive and very inspiring. Now, in 2005, you dived into politics. I know you told me where in politics you started when you at 19, but in 2005 you went full throttle into politics. I'm just sitting thinking that, well, you have established businesses, you are supporting young people, things are going positively with you, you're making money. Why politics?
I tell you, this came about one day. I was having breakfast with my family. My little daughter, Khadija, then she came to me, Daddy, my friend is hungry. Then I said, then call her. The friend came, and we're having breakfast. Then she went to her mother. That my friend's mother had never eaten this morning. The mother and the father had never eaten this morning. They were so siblings, that friend. So my wife took food and shared with them. The next day, my wife told me, what can we have, John breakfast with these people and John dinner, and we can afford 2-3 meals a day, and they can afford. So I said, let me buy bag of rice for them, and I gave them money, and then, but we keep doing it. So one day I said to myself, but the government should be an institution that should provide opportunities for our people. Why should we be, if I have to give these people every day, and I have to give another family every day, at the end result, I won't be able to even feed myself. So I said, what needs to be done? Let's get into politics. Then I heard about the CDC, the message from the CDC was about empowerment, was about the masses, was about prosperity, was about redemption of our country. I said, no, this is a good thing. And I got involved. in it fully, but then I had a water factory. So I was supplying the CDC headquarters with free water, called Peace Water, throughout the 2005 election. And when we were in the election, there was something that was very interesting to me. The message was, when we take over, we'll revisit all concession agreements, and it showed that all the agreements will be visited, and we show that every concession agreement will have 30% localized, meaning industrialized. I said, that's good. This is what we want. When that is done, then the little girl's father will have a job. Because when you have 30% of iron ore being, being mined in Liberia, 30% being industrialized, it means we're going to have Liberia National Steel Factory. That means no matter what happens, you have a job. So that is how I got convinced with the CDC. That I was so crazy about it. In 2005, we lost the election. We got some parliamentarians, we got some lawmakers. Sadly, the lawmakers were not actually speaking on those issues that we spoke about when we were doing the campaign. Then 2011, I spoke with Mr. Weir, but then he was contesting as a vice president. I said, why are you contesting as a vice president and now with someone who does not share the vision of what you believe in? He said the Liberian people do not care about your vision, they care about education. So since this man is educated, let me be behind him when you win. The next time I was president, I said, okay, he convinced me. So we supported them, the process. And we worked. Then we lost the election also. Then 2013, there were a lot of concession agreements between 2011 and 2013 during Madam Salih's second term. In all of those agreements that were signed and approved, but signed by the legislature, I realized that the CDC lawmakers were not also supporting the idea that of industrializing 30% of natural resources. They were not thinking about. They are no longer talking about the issue of having Liberia National Gold Refinery Company. No, they were no longer thinking about having Liberia National Steel Factory. No, so they were not thinking about anything that could dignify the life of our people. So then we had the issue of the World Economic Crime Code also. We were saying that people died during the demonstration in November of 2002, something like that. 2012, something. People died because of the demanding we walk out there with casket that we want World Economic Crime Code. Then they were not speaking about those things. So I said, but why would we be saying that this is what we stand for, and the legislature is a place where the people must be heard? So because you guys are not saying anything, I'm suspending my membership. So in 2013, I suspended my membership because the CDC lawmakers refused to push the issue of industrialization of 30% of natural resources that should be localized in our country, and they also refused to push the agenda of the World Economic Crime Code. Based on that, I suspended my membership. From 2013, 2014, there was an election. So I was contesting as an independent candidate. One day I was on the radio. Reverend Kennedy Sandy of Liberia Transformation Party heard me on the radio. And he called upon me. Oh, Sheikh, can I see you? And I went there. He said, I want you to be part of my party. I said, no, I'm part of the CDC. I suspended my membership based on these things. So I cannot be part of your party. But I think we can work together. He said, but you're contesting as well. As an independent candidate. He said, no, go on my party. I said, then I'll go on your party. I'm not going to make any commitment as a member of your party. He said, yes. So 2014, I won the ticket of LTP. Then there came a time he was contacted by, Madam Salih, at the time the president, for me to drop my ambition and support Robert Salih. And there were all the things that happened during that time. And unfortunately, we also had the issue of Ebola. So I said to them, no, I'm not going to back off, but I have an agenda. We are contesting for the Senate. But who are we going to lead? Who are we going to serve? The people. The people are being attracted now. The existence of the people is threatened by a virus called Ebola. So I decided to change my slogan for the election: a life saved could save another. So I changed the funding I had. I changed it to, I diverted that to supporting recruiting nurses, recruiting medical practitioners to go to various areas to see how we can help those who were sick. Then there came an issue of cremation. Our people being cremated. This is not something part of our culture. So I went to ESRD and discussed with them, and they had an organization called Global Community. I also went to them. They said, no, you are a politician. You cannot do any project to stop that. But if you can convince some other organization to come to us that are non-political parties, then we can do something. I went to National Muslim Council. I didn't get any good redress. I went to National Liberia Council of Churches, some of those people. I couldn't get redress. So I went to National Traditional Council, then headed by Zanza Kawa. And my mother was one of the vice chairperson for Women Affairs. And I managed to talk to Mamusu Coleman. She was also one of the executives, and Sita Fofana. Then I said, we can find a means to stop discrimination. There's an organization that can provide land for us, and we can use that organization to stop discrimination. They said, what's that? Then I took them to Global Community, and they had a discussion, and Global Community for providing the land. That's how the cremation was stopped during the Ebola crisis. I was the one who led that. And so during that 2014, I never said vote Sheikh Kouyateh. My focus was to save life at the time. And successfully, what happened? Many of our people survived, In my family, directly my family, I lost 11 people, family members during the Ebola crisis. That included my stepmother, my 3 biological sisters, my grandfather, 11 in numbers.
Best
But the most
condolence.
important thing is life was saved.
Thank you.
And then in 2020, when I was contesting, we had 2 issues. We have the coronavirus. We had the referendum that was organized by Mr. Weah. And when I was with the CDC, when we won the election, they came up with the idea that let's organize the referendum. When this referendum is organized, we win this election. We are already in power. We have 6 years. So when the referendum passes, what will happen? We'll have 5 years, plus the 6 years is 16 years. So that was it. So I said to myself, how can we give 16 years to this government of ours that in the first 1 year, 2 years, we are not being able to revisit the concession agreements. We are not being able to talk about the war and economic crime code. We have power now. We refer to Madam Salif as being corrupt, and being corrupt, and we are not being able to prosecute those people who were in her government. Then I said, no. I began to expose the government and tell the people, no, it's not about a referendum. It is not about reducing the presidency. It is about confusing us, thinking that they can reduce it to 5 years instead of 6 years. Then they will compare. They will do everything possible to win the first election, which will be the first term of the 5 years. Then the second term of the 5 years, they may hear 16 years. That was the plan. And I unveiled that plan to bring people. I convinced people, not just Monserrate County. I went forward to Nimba County. I went to Magibi. I went to Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. I went to Ketma County. I went many places. I went over 9 counties, even though I was contesting in Monserrate County. Then there was another issue with the coronavirus. Then we began to talk to our people. How do we serve our people? How do we sit on the throne? The cage is beautiful, but the beauty of the cage is a bird. When a bird has flown, what is the use of the cage?
No.
So those are my 2 issues. So we went for the debate with my dear brother Darrell Zilon, and another Thomas Fowler, who is now Deputy Speaker at the Bentor. The debate was very interesting, and that's where most people identify me and knew what I stand for, because my debate, I was discussing the issue of war and economic crime code. 1, 2, having national youth and service program, because I said we have youth in this country. How do we create jobs? The system does not create what is called prosperity. The system creates something that is called dependency. You are asked that you must have 3 years job experience before you are employed, before you are qualified to be employed. And there's no program at the very universities, nor do we have programs at colleges where students must begin to do internship from junior to senior. That's 2 years. Then at least 1 to 2 years of national youth service outside, which would be equivalent to 4 years. Then you can have a job. Nothing. But you only have a job when you come out to act like a political scientist. You come and say a lot of things on radio, condemn someone or insult someone, and the person call you and give you a job. I said, no, this is what we need to do. So that was our focus during the election, 2020 election. Then 2019, before that election, I actually withdrew my membership from the CDC and for the government. Why I left the CDC and the government? Because we got involved for the people. And I realized that it was not about the people anymore. It was about power and money. So I said, that is not what I committed myself to. That is not what I signed up to. So because of that, I withdrew my membership, and I was advised by my mentor, the former president of Nigeria, and also my good friend from Kenya, Professor Lumumba, and they said to me, you have to leave. And I left. So when I left, we organized this movement called Liberia First Movement. Interestingly, the Liberia First Movement has no membership pay form. Once you're a Liberian, you are automatically a member of this movement. And the movement does not have what we call leadership structure. We have what we call servantship structure. That is what a movement head is referred to as servant in charge. You are not called president. Yeah. So,
okay. Sheikh, that has been very interesting. We have gone over the time you allocated to us. I want to respect that since you are coming back for the show. So thank you so much for this time. I mean, I'm flabbergasted with this conversation. We have a lot to talk about. You have said a lot of things that you and myself can go around. I know we have this conversation in the background sometimes. So thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best of blessings. I will get in touch with you, Melissa, and arrange. We'll do something one-on-one, a crossfire thing, so that we can go in all these things you're talking about.
Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure. And I also said to my brother, the co-host Sharif, I hope to see you again. I wish we had met. I would have spoiled somehow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
I'm looking forward to the next trip. We'll definitely meet.
Yeah, we'll make the next one. We'll put it on, or we'll make it Crossfire 101 on the first Sundays. Yeah, I've told me he opened for Crossfire.
But no,
so.
Dr. George, I think Dr. George, I think these are some of the stories that when we hear on the show, or when we hear from some of our guests, hopefully it inspire other people. As Sheikh was speaking, I was just saying to myself, man, the guy and myself graduated around the same time. I graduated August 98 and he graduated 98. And, we were just on different paths. And basically, everything that he has said, I don't think too many Liberians know what he have done. I think most Liberians, they see him in his position today. They say, oh, he may have known someone. That's how he got that position. But they have no idea everything he did leading to that particular ascendancy, where he is at today.
Yeah, Mr. Sherry, you want to change your name because the two of us got the same name. But
man, how do you get my name? Why you took my name?
But you're right. You're right. I'm in 1998. He graduated from high school, and many other people who graduated from high school. And I'm just amazed that within that time, he started 3 companies. He started a logistic company. Yeah. He started a waste management company. Then he started a pure water company. I'm amazed because many of us Liberians, by the time we graduate from high school, we sitting down, want to go to college. And then not only that, I'm amazed he said he started those companies without money. He was using, he was using people who had resources to do what he wanted to do. So we borrow, go and get track from people's house every Sunday for $50, $50 Liberian dollars. That's very innovative. I mean, that we're talking about way in 1998, 99. Yeah. And we knew in the last administration that we're here myself because he's a member of the CDC. In the last administration, we had a trash problem here, and we have a solution guy here. So we'll talk about that next time he come on the show. His government had a lot of trash issue, but yeah, it's exciting to know that he's what he shared. I mean, as a young person and where he is now. Because sometimes we see people at the top, we don't know how they get there. Yeah. But it's an amazing story, I must admit. Taking a race to fly with cattle from Burkina Faso to Liberia, cows in the plane.
Oh, that was not cheap.
Imagine that plane or the F.E and the cows coming on.
I mean, just imagine. Imagine this. My flight got delayed in Liberia. Not even delayed, but canceled. I got canceled in Liberia. It would have killed me to be sitting in that airport waiting for a flight and seeing somebody come in with cow from the plane.
Cows coming in the But even for all the rigs, he did not sell them expensive in Monrovia. He said them the same price they were selling cattle in Monrovia. That's very kind of him. I would have increased the price after that kind of rigs, I think. Flying from Burkina Faso to Liberia, I would have increased it, but I mean, he was kind enough to sell it at the same price. That's innovative. And then he started in 2002. He started the Youth Against Drugs and Arms. I mean, look at 20 years. Was it 20 years later or 18 years later or thereabout? See what our country, the situation we're in now. More than 20 years later, we have a drug epidemic. So that was hindsight to see that this thing was coming up. Hindsight to start a drug stuff in Liberia.
Yeah. And definitely, I mean, he will definitely have to come back into our viewers on Freedom FM 87.9. We say thank you so much for joining the show. We still got another 20 minutes to go, and we are just going to be discussing some other things since our guest could not be here for the whole hour. But basically, I think those of you who have heard his story, when you see him around Monrovia, don't think, oh, here's another big guy who is just enjoying the money in this country. That brother has a vision. He actually has a goal, and he's been doing this for a little bit. Look, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not endorsing any political campaign or anything like that. I know nothing that he's planning on doing, so I can't tell you that he's planning to run for additional office. I don't know that. But just the part of the story that I have known, I'm super impressed by that. Similar to other politicians we've heard of. That is why our programs that we do here, we don't try to get too deep into politics. We will speak if we see the negative in CDC, we'll speak to it. We see the negative in UP, we'll speak to it. It can be any political fashion. We see the negative, we speak to it. But we want to bring people on the show to tell their stories, to actually encourage our brothers and sisters in the country. I was just in Liberia. I know the economic situation in the country. I just came back. I've only been here a week since I came back from Liberia. So I know exactly what I'm speaking to. So to hear that kind of story is some motivation to encourage anyone. Don't just sit there and wait for a handout. Go out and do something. That's where that brother started from.
Exactly.
And the time frame that brother is speaking to, that particular time frame, while he was doing bigger things, at that time I was selling kerosene in Monrovia, because we're talking 98 and early 2000, we didn't have electricity in the country. So I mean, if you had, you heard generators everywhere. I was selling my kerosene at night, going to school in the morning, and then sell plenty chips. So we were all hustling the legal way. So I completely relate to the stories that he was telling.
Yeah, and his mom, even though she rose to be a permanent person in the traditional council, his mom was selling kobo, and his dad was a truck driver. He didn't start life with silver spoon in his mouth. He managed his way, and I mean, there's this new thing that goes on the internet. These young girls say you friend message. They tell you hello, you say hello. The next time they want you to buy a scratch card, they want you to buy this thing. They should come and listen to Sheikh Al-Mustafa's story. Sheikh Al-Mustafa Kouyateh's story, because he and the same thing is in Monrovia right now. We still have trash problem in Monrovia. People still need their trash to be taken away. People still have things that you can do in order for you to get funding to support yourself. And as you said, Mr. Sherry, let me just add this to it. According to him, he's not taking a single penny from the Liberian government for the work he is doing as ambassador at large and special envoy on special duty for the Republic of Liberia. He's not being paid. It's free work he's doing, and that is patriotic. That is great, especially with all these people who are stealing money up and down. You still have a Liberian in that country who is not taking a single cent from the Liberian government.
I mean, yeah, and that is key to the point. And and when we speak to the thing, look, when I was in Liberia, I will go back to the trash issue that you just mentioned, Dr. Josh. When I was in Liberia, any of my friends that were with me in the country, they will attest to this, and the house I was living in, they will attest to this. What I did, there are these young people in the country that they have just labeled Zogo. They call them Zogo and stuff like that. I remember, I saw one of those guys, because we have trash piled up in the back of the house. There's not a designated place. And basically what these people would do, they would wait, Dr. George, until like maybe 6 in the evening or early in the morning. You walk in the streets and every community burning something. They're burning trash and the air is polluted. You can't breathe. And every yard, they're burning something, whether in the backyard, front yard, burning trash. Whatever they're burning, you have no idea. Whether it's plastic, whether it's they're burning stuff. They're burning that trash that they have to accumulate all day. When I got there, what I would do, these young men that were called Zogos, I remember the first time I brought one of them. His name is Hakim. That's the name he goes by. At least that's what he told me. I brought Hakim to the house. When we got to the house, the first thing the people in the yard told me, like, oh, don't be bringing your children in here. The children can outlet. They come and work for you. Tomorrow they'll come break in your house. So I said, yeah, because they don't have jobs. They don't have no source of income. Maybe that's why they'll come break in your house. But I said, I brought a young man, took in the bag. I said, look, that trash, where will you take it? And he told me, he said, look, we have a dump site not too far from here. I collect people trash, and that's where I take it, and they just paid me something. The time I was there, every week, that boy came to the house and collected the trash, and he took it to that place, and I pay him every week. And that was a source of income. The first time I saw him, he looked very filthy. The next, I gave him some of my things I took, jeans, t-shirt, and stuff. The next time he came to pick up that trash, he looked a little bit presentable. And and so if we empower these young people and just give them work to do, Dr. George, I mean, they will turn their life around. But these kids have nothing to do. I mean, people sit here and talk about these Zogos that they just stealing to empower themselves or enable themselves with drugs. But let me tell you what we don't talk about. The very adults, whether they work in government, whether they work in private sector, whether they're getting income or not, entertainment business have become one of the biggest business. Every part of the streets in Monrovia is noisy because you got some kind of liquor shop set up around the country. These men or women, every day on their way from work, they stop into their favorite water hole and they're sitting there and drinking. They go to home around 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Nobody talk about that. They are also self-medicating. They are being alcoholic in our country. We don't talk about it, but we talk about the Zogos who actually get his little fix. Neither one is correct. Neither one is correct. They all have to just get this mindset because if you like, I'm only drinking my 5 bottle of beer, my 5 bottle of stout, I'm not doing drugs. No, you are still self-medicated. You are the yourself because that money could go and pay your children's school fees. It could go and take care of your wife clothes. It can take care of your, but they don't do that. They spend a lot of this money to their favorite water holes, and so that's the problem in the country.
Yeah, and that's true. It's something that that we need to we as a people need to look into too, because first of all, we're not providing job. Our government, we have not been able to force our government to tell us each month how many jobs were created. We this month between now and the end of July, we'll be chunking our graduates from all our universities. Where are they going to work?
Mhm.
They may become frustrated and become Zogos with university degree. So until we start pressing the government to prove to us that they are creating jobs so that our people can find work, we'll still be in a kind of struggle. And there were personality that Sheikh there who start their own business and get people working should be able to speak to government about this. Look, we've been able to do this in the private sector. We can continue to improve upon it in the lives of our people. But I look forward, besides appointment in government, I look forward to this government and any other government in Liberian history to start graphically showing us how much the number of jobs that they create every month, so that we can know. And, we need to start working on that.
As Sheikh was speaking about his involvement in politics, I started thinking to myself, I wonder he's getting into politics because that's the only means of getting a job in the country. Because unfortunately, as the government is the highest employer in the country, and I'm not going to pick on them because even here in the United States, the federal government is the highest employer too. But at least you got lots of other private sectors and a lot of different things that take place, and we are not all working in government. We all work in different facets of the economy. But unfortunately, that is not the case when you come to Liberia. Private sector jobs are very minimal. And to make matter worse, most of those people that were working in private sector that were being funded by USAID, I have several friends in Liberia. When I went to Liberia, most of those friends, I'm not going to say who they are, but most of them were just reliant on me. Oh, my man, you got to help me. I got to pay my children's school fee, my man. Because most of them are working through USAID project, USAID funded projects. And when that funding got cut, now that big swatch of the private sector is gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
And because that is gone, now you have a whole section of the population that were depending on that income that don't have it. What becomes of that children? What becomes of that children? I think I was listening to Edwin Snow on, I think it was Senator Snow. I listened to him on another program where he was talking about, we lost funding. We lost funding. And I was waiting to see what was going to be done to replace that funding. But he never mentioned it. He never said, this is what we are doing now to replace that funding or to help those individuals who were impacted by the loss of that particular job. This is what we're doing to help them. Nothing is being done. So if you lost a job because you work with USAID project and that job is gone, I'm sorry. You just go back to the thousands of other people who don't have job in the country. And so there's no plan. There's no plan. There's no plan to get the economy of the country going in a direction that benefits everybody, which is very disappointing because this government pride itself and campaign on the very fact of empowering our young people. And that is not being done at this point at all.
Yeah, and that's you see, you raised a very serious point, right? The USAID project that went off, it was an abrupt thing. There was no expectation. There was no, I mean, in different sectors, we planned for 1, 2, 3 years that we're going to face this in, or in 3 years. It was abrupt. Executive order was signed, and it came to an end. Funding was cut off from almost all the programs. Now there were Liberians, hundreds of Liberians working in the area, and you're right. There's nothing, no program to say, okay, we're going to absorb this particular project and have funding for this particular project. In fact, one of the shocking things, one of the shocking things was to find out, and I know we celebrated Liberia, but I hope we as people will have a fundamental mindset change. Because this $62 million that we are excited for having the newspaper, why will we still, with all these things that have happened with the US government, all the withdrawal of funds, we're still looking for other people to fund our budget? We should be fundamental. We should, at this point, we should have a strategic section with all these smart Liberians, call all these political parties. I think Evan Snow said, but I will say it again. Call all these leaders of the political party, have an economic forum, and let us discuss how we can move this country forward without depending on foreign aid. We're going to struggle for some time, but we're going to go through this process. We celebrate money coming from foreign country. When our presidents travel, we're waiting to see, what the president brought back.
Yeah,
He brought back from the other people's country. We have to start thinking what we have in our country, what we can do in our country, how we can sacrifice to make sure that we have opportunity for everybody. We have these Chinese people misbehaving. There was a video that went viral with Reverend Anders, the representative for District Number 6 or thereabout, with the Chinese, the intoxicated Chinese men and challenging him. Look, we gotta get serious as a country. We have to wake up one morning and decide that we want to be a serious country. Because right now we're very unserious. British $62 million budgetary support. Our own budget. We sat down, we made our own budget, right? We have law. We passed law for our own budget, and we're still sitting there saying budgetary. What kind of nonsense is that? I mean, it's a total affront to the people of Liberia that our legislature sat down in section, passed a 3G budget, and then they're looking for budgetary support, the budget that they pass for themselves, for a country. What kind of nonsense is that? We have to be serious as a people, and we can really be serious. All these hands-on, we rely on this one and that one and this. We have to have a government, and we as a people that have to be productive. Start thinking. God have given us brain, and the brain He gave us is for us to think. And let's start celebrating this thing. Then there's these rules that they are putting on television, and they want us to celebrate it. Look, we have come too long. We have been on this place for a long time. Our country is 178, 79 years old. What we're going to celebrate. Next year will be 180. 20 years from now will be 200 years old. Yeah, then we still celebrating two-lane road that for
John, let me just say this.
Have it when the war you get, you can celebrate for it. But we should not be that myopic that we cannot start building 4 lanes, 8-lane road in our country. And then
but Dr. George, I think your expectation is a little high. When I was in Liberia, I went to one of my favorite spots I used to visit as a young student, to just sit there and argue politics. I visited a spot and I heard people talking politics. Everybody was like, "Oh, the government not doing anything. The government not doing anything." I just told them, I said, "My brother, I beg you. Let me just say something." I said, "You guys, you don't listen. You just make too much noise." When people say zekwe, you say zekwe. When they say yo, you say yo. You don't listen to substance when people talking substance. before even the inauguration or little after inauguration, I say you have one of your major citizens in the country, one of your prime citizens, you know, someone who was going to be a senator, but that person has also been finance minister. You had that person get on radio or your local television or wherever medium he used, and that person told you to lower your expectation, and you were still clapping at the time. You were clapping, showing your beautiful teeth. And now the expectation has been way, way lower. It's gone underground. And now you're sitting here screaming that the government not doing nothing. The rescue government is only rescuing itself. I said, you didn't listen. You didn't listen. But still, I promise you, 6 years from now, you will still go and vote another stupid government in position because they said yo, and you said yo. And that is, and so the guy was like, my man, we won't listen to you. You're not from here. We can tell you're not from here. So I said, I said, I'm not from here, but I take the pressure just as much because the family I have in this country, the friends I have in the country, and everybody that I'm connected to, I get phone calls more than you do because they feel like I'm over there and the money is on the street. So they call me, they want me to send them money. Everybody is reaching out for handout because the government is not doing anything to support them. So yes,
Yeah.
I have voice to talk.
Yeah, but Mr. Sherry, look, my expectation will be high because I grew up in Liberia in the 70s and the 80s. We grew up listening to revolutionaries. We grew up quoting. We used to go to school and be quoting revolutionaries because we grew up with the revolutionaries of Africa. When Tubman was president, he built 2-lane road from Monrovia to Ganta. This is 2025. We still building 2-lane road. Our friends there are expanding the thing to 4 lanes, and we are celebrating that. Tubman that used to ride the world with ship. He had no opportunity to ride good jet and plane. It took him 2-3 days to travel. Now you can travel from point A to point X. The president is riding a private jet. The same way how the president, you know, Mr. Sherry, the same way how our president has an expectation to ride private jet around the world, have expectation to ride a $1 million bulletproof car in Monrovia. We should have expectation to drive on 4-lane roads.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that because the one road that you are building from the airport to Central Monrovia, that one road you're still fixing it. The one road you're fixing from Vatan to Freeport to go all the way to Logantown, that one road you're still fixing it. That road finished yet, and then you guys don't want to talk about building skyscraper or bridges overhead and people celebrating that. You can finish the one from Ralphie to Monrovia. That road, it has gone through how many administration? 3 is Weir, is Madam Salif, is Weir, and now UP government has Blanca has it. You can't finish this one road. Every day you turn it all this way. Well, in Liberia, one day they will move the traffic will move this way because they're fixing the other side. Then the next day the traffic will move this way because they're fixing the other side. You can't finish it. And you want to talk about building new ones? I beg you, your way. So
no, we will have to do that. I mean, we have to do that as a nation. We have to have a vision. We have to have a vision that will make us to do that, Mr. Sherry. We cannot keep sitting and saying that, we have this one. Yeah, I'm fully aware. We have only one road in the country, one road to take you up, one road to carry you up from Ganta all the way to Cape Mount. There's no way to go bypass. You can bypass the road, even though there are opportunities to bypass. Because I remember long time ago, back in the days, I went to buy rest in Babulu County. And I could have continued from Babulu to Bon County, but the bridge that were there were broken for many, many years. There was no connection. You have to come back. Well, where?
I mean, we laugh at these things, but I mean, it's serious.
I know the country that one way, but nobody. If our president expectation now is for him to ride a $1 million bulletproof car, why would we not expectation to be driving on 2-lane road? Why do they want that to be our expectation? That is wrong. If our president is going higher, we should go higher too as a country. If the president is driving private jet, we should be building every highway in the country because the president right now $1 million bulletproof Jeep, and you had to go to Lofa County and a road bar, that would be buying another car in 2 years' time. That's not fair to us. It's not fair to us.
But you're already doing it. You're already doing it for legislatures. I think you're doing it for them every 3 years. You'll be giving a new car, right? So if the president saying wants something new, my thing is, I know our time is.
Our leaders are high. Putting why would we lower our expectation? Our leaders' expectation are high. No way.
No, I agree. I know our time is off here, but I agree, Dr. George. Our expectation should be higher. Our expectation should be higher. However, though, we should actually press the people that we elect in office. We should hold those people feet to the fire. Let them fulfill those expectations. But we are not doing that. You know, our leaders come and they sit and they talk trash, and we buy it and we clap for them. We say we clap for them, but we see no deliverables. They are not delivering for the people. And so why should we continue to have this higher expectation when we have not even seen the one hand pump in our district? When we have not seen a single work that has been done? You know, the seat of the capital city. I keep picking on District 8. That's the seat of the government. I can still drive that back road, that Camp Johnson Road back road, go into the executive mansion and hold my nose because it smells horrible. It smells horrible. You don't even have good drainage system. You're talking about public works and water. I'm sorry.
We had in the first segment Sheikh Al-M Kouyateh, who joined us in This Could Be You. And this is the end of the section, Mr. Sheriff Lamentation. That's the second half of the section. That's what we had. So have a good night until we meet again next weekend when Mr. Sheriff will be here with another edition of Mental Health Sunday. Bless you and have a great week ahead of you.